We help people to help themselves and help others. And we accomplish that by focusing on core values such as family values, religious values, social values, community values, cultural values. We're trying to help you leave a legacy.
I have two kids. One kid's 2 years old and one 6 month. And I dream that one day that they will be able to feel free to do what they want.
The young people have a lot of work to do, and losing hope is not an option.
To build a democracy, you have to build it from the bottom to the top.
The fellows in this program of Legacy are those people who in the next generation, and even before that, we will see them in positions of power.
They challenge you. They come in and ask you questions that maybe an American would never think of.
A lot of times in the U.S., if we don't like something, we may decide that we're going to make our dissatisfaction known during election time in the ballot booth. But these individuals aren't afraid to go into the streets and to make their voices heard, and sometimes that meant risking their lives.
Welcome to all of you to Morocco. Welcome to Rabat. U.S. and Morocco have a close relationship, a very old relationship. Morocco is one of the first countries to recognize the United States in 1777. On a wide variety of issues, we have very, very close relations with Morocco. The region's in a very, very precarious time right now, and I think it's going to take many years to resolve things, and it will be driven by this younger generation.
We're committed to you. We're sharing and transferring the know-how, as we say, that's necessary to accomplish and sustain programs like yours, projects like yours, create policies that are behind those.
At the beginning, when you said that we have to write our needs in this small paper, I said, this is not enough. So
it's like we stopped in the past.
So my main concern is to make young people really involved in politics.
We need to support the democratic transition, and we have to prevent to getting back to the situations and the political environment before revolution.
How to transform good data into practical knowledge. A lot of good data doesn't speak itself.
We need to give attention to education reform in all levels of education, especially public health education.
Most of Tunisians people actually are well educated, but we don't have job opportunities.
Even patriotism, I'm afraid, is lacking. Is very much lacking.
We are all the time passive, waiting for things to change.
People come to the ministry to tell you, to ask you to solve all their problems.
We don't have jobs, we don't. And now we see the government sometimes saying, we are just a government of transition. It's like a culture, fourth government of transition.
Whose responsibility is it to address these needs?
We are not supposed to wait for the government to do things. I mean, we will never get what we want from any government in the future, even for the upcoming 50 years.
We're having a huge battle in the United States on this issue about the role of government.
These are some things that I don't know how you approach it to make people realistic in terms of what's available, but somehow you have to make tough decisions. That's what you have to do.
And in the midst of all these very real issues and extremely critical challenges, what we can all agree on are the values that we hold dear.
To realize that values once were over here. There's our religious values, our cultural values. They're in one bucket, and our economic values are in another bucket. We have to find a way to bring those two buckets together and to find that they have to share their values and they have to be integrated. And to me, the opportunity that you have in your countries is to create these new structures. So when we're training young people in your country, you have an opportunity just to jump a generation.
Education training, they give classes for either 1 year or 2 years.
Starting from 17 years old and until 30 years old.
It's not easy at all to have an NGO running the center. There are a lot of NGOs in Rabat, in Saleh, in all Morocco, but to have this chance is not easy at all.
We are working for our community, and our first activity, I remember, it was a summer camp.
Making all this with not much academic background is really impressive. So congratulations.
Youssef and the association are helping you, but it's very important that you be the person in charge of advancing your future. And we're really impressed by the work that you're doing. And as a token of our appreciation, we wanted to give you this gift today. So thank you so much. Would you please
We have great experience with NGOs and we can share experience.
Networking.
Network
هذا هو
together.
الأوبجيكتيف. أنا ما خديتش لك الكونتاكت ديالكم. صيفطوا لي على الإيميل أو الفيسبوك.
Let's keep contact, guys, and this is the better way to start networking. So I'm sure that we will achieve a lot together.
مع السلامة. بارك الله فيك.
The work, sweat, blood, tears that it takes to make that happen is what we wanted to get to at this conference.
The word change itself doesn't have a specific connotation. Doesn't say whether it's positive change or it's a negative change. It is just a change.
I think that everyone is for change just as long as it doesn't affect them at any disadvantage. They don't have to give up power. They don't have to give up money. They don't have to give up position. But what we're about, those of us who consider ourselves change agents, it's interpreting to them that it's not always giving up something when you have a change in terms of status or business relationships or even participation in government.
We don't have a strategy of what we would like to have in the future. We are moving in an endless circle. We want to have a change, but we don't know from where to start.
If you really want to make change, whether it's in a public health sector, changing people's individual behavior, or whether it's in the political sector, is finding allies, people that maybe you wouldn't typically associate with your cause. It's finding messages that resonate to them, not only to you. The messaging is incredibly important.
So you want to ask yourself things such as, what are your strengths and weaknesses? Who are your allies? Do you have some long-term and short-term goals?
And indeed, when you're looking to change something, focusing on an issue you want to change, but then educating the public, educating people about that is a very key step in that process. You need to be very committed, very specific and focused on that change.
Actually, the word democracy should translate as struggle.
You said struggle. In Arabic, it's jihad. Okay? Change is a nice thing, or it's something we're afraid of, but it's really fundamental linguistically in the semiotics of your experience.
a le droit de l'apprentissage, mais son mari refuse, donc elle trouve un peu les difficultés familiales.
So women have the rights to get education, to work, but their husbands wouldn't allow them to exercise those two rights. So.
Never doubt that a group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. How are we going to use social media? How are we going to visualize this for TV? Who has the power to make the change? Do we need to find some lawyers that can help us? And who should be in the coalition? What's next? Well, hi. You know? What is her reaction? What is wrong with that crazy American? Right? It's the same thing in advocacy. So don't forget that these human interaction skills are as important as anything you know up here, anything you say. Because you as advocates feel so passionately about it, that you become too shrill.
Because I can see myself somehow.
Oh, really, Ines? Really?
I mean, not now, but with my team, I can be.
I can't imagine. You can still be a strong woman without. Oh, without getting up here.
He'll never marry.
He'll never marry.
You can burn hot, but you act with it.
Impossible.
But understand from the get-go, it's a struggle and you're never going to win. So if you start out knowing that because we're human beings, it's going to be a struggle, your job and your time on earth is just to be a part of the struggle. But it's very important to give yourself some ability to renew. What's kept you involved?
Largely because there is in the back of my mind an old saying that the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good people to do nothing.
Always, always celebrate even the small victories.
All the piracy history in Morocco in the 17th century started in the Kasbah of the Udair.
Hopefully when you leave, you're leaving with a little bit broader skill set, some useful concrete tools that you can bring back, and also some maybe strengthened relationships and contacts that will be able to support you, whether it's in your country, across your region, or also across the ocean to us in the States, because that's really the connections I think that last more than anything else.
I don't usually work with videos and storytelling.
I also now I only organize political awareness campaigns, not public health. So the fact that I attended some sessions that I don't know about, it gave me a lot of new ideas in some areas that I could work in, and in some of the new tools that we could incorporate in our work. And I also benefited a lot from the American delegates, even in our informal discussions that we had during dinners and during lunches. We spoke about many things in America and in Egypt. So that was very beneficial to me, and it gave me a lot of insight.
Building a strong network and meeting the other Spring Fellows, hearing from their work, it's really, and their projects is very insightful.
I had an opportunity, I think, to get a better idea of what's going on in North Africa and in the region.
I thank you for the education you've provided me. And so when any of you become prime ministers or presidents, please invite me to your inauguration.
We will do everything we can to help you. We will do everything we can to build the kind of relationships that need to be built for people to work together successfully. And that's trust, and good communication, and shared vision, and shared resources. And when we do that, it's a pretty good formula for some kind of success. Our hope is that you treat Legacy International as your partner, as your friend.
I think we celebrate the ups, and in the downs we have to look for the people who can support us to go up against.
We should believe that tomorrow can be better. That's why I'm still confident that one day Tunisia will be a place that my children can live in.
Amna al-Sadak.
Rabeb Ben Khalifa.
Tasneem Ghazbar. Thank you.
Kareem Karmi.
Alaaddin Kabush. Muhammad Raha.
This is not the end, this is just a pause. So we don't have to say goodbye.